Hello friends, this is a 12th week of our course on literature and life. We have Professor K. Ganesh with us. He was formerly with Madras Christian College and he was the head of the department. He has some 34 years of experience teaching at various levels. His major interest is in drama. In fact, his PhD was from the University of Madras on this topic, meta-drama in Oriental and Occidental traditions. Currently, he is working with the University of Madras English department teaching students there. We have Professor Ganesh here to speak about teaching and reading drama. Welcome, Professor Ganesh.
Thank you, Dr. Dhanavel. Very happy to be a part of this program.
It is a real pleasure for us to have an expert who has done his PhD on drama, and so we are happy that our students will have your experience and expertise.
My pleasure and honor, sir. Yeah.
Let's begin with a simple question of what do you think drama is for you?
See, drama for me is a multimedial narrative which comprises both the auditory and the visual aspects. And what is interesting is, let's say we normally make a distinction between drama and theatre. And one can confidently say that drama is the play text and theatre will be the performance text. And it is this transformation that teachers of drama and students of drama actually enjoy. Now, the moment you say that it is multimedial, we know that a novel is monomedial, reading a poem is monomedial, but drama is obviously a very interesting multimedial narrative. And I'm very happy to say that when you take Shakespeare's Hamlet, he is able to provide us with a beautiful paradigm of how theatre is created. You have a narration of a ghost in the play. Then he creates a dumb show, which is monomedial, just the scene aspect. And then he creates a play called Murder of Gonzago or Mousetrap, which is actually the multimedial narrative, which actually is a good definition of drama.
Oh, thank you. Nice to have a definition of drama with your experience of teaching and researching on Shakespeare's, particularly from this meta-dramatic perspective.
Thank you, sir.
That's great. What are the different kinds of drama or forms of drama that you have studied and taught in your long experience?
Yeah. Obviously, the usual types of drama, I have taught comedies, I have taught tragedies. I am particularly interested in the histories, in the tragicomedies of William Shakespeare, and farces, not only from Greece, where Aristophanes' plays can be read both as satires and farces, but also Indian farces, two plays written by Mahendravarman called Bhagavad Jugam and Mattavilasa Prahasanam. And the purpose obviously of teaching these types of drama is to foreground during the process of discussing drama with students the characteristic features of each of these types. Now, using a particular type of drama as a distinctive frame, I have taught a 5-act play, actually a 7-act play when you take Kalidasa's Abhignana Shakuntalam into consideration, a 5-act play, a 3-act play when you take Ibsen into consideration, and definitely let's say a lot of 1-act plays at the part 2 level. And I distinctly remember a comedy in a 1-act play called Remember Caesar, right, which is a good example of a 1-act play. But what is most interesting is, let's say that whenever you teach say any one of them, 5-act, 3-act or 1-act, see, the discussion will obviously be on the vital characteristics of drama, right? Particularly drama that should visually, in an imaginative realm, let's say visually transform itself into theatre.
That's great. You have done research on drama, you have taught drama for many years. What prompted you to get into drama like this?
For me, actually, see, teaching drama, is a creative endeavor. So it's a very interesting, very happy experience, primarily because when you take a play text, right, we normally make a distinction between the primary text, which would be the dialogues in the play, which are also called duologues today. Only when two people speak, we use the word duologue today, not dialogue. So apart from, let's say, the dialogues in the play, because one of the simplest definitions of drama is story in dialogue form.
Yes.
Now, when you keep away the dialogues, then you have something called the peri-text or secondary text, which would be the title of the play, the alternative title of the play, dramatis personae, right? The setting, the locales, right? Everything that goes into creation of meaning.
Can we
So,
include stage directions as
definitely,
well?
definitely. I was about to say that, right? So when you say it's a challenging, and when I actually am happy to say that it's a challenging and a joyful experience, because you are alive to the multi-layered sources of signification such as dialogues, setting, costumes,
Yes.
right, and other things that you have. And in particular, let's say when I teach Indian English drama, right, which is a very unique kind of form, which was a creative takeoff on both the Western and Eastern notions of drama. You see a kind of, say, distinction between the plays that actually belong to the Occident,
Okay.
and particularly Indian English drama, which seems to be a wonderful amalgam of the Western and the Eastern traditions.
Particularly 20th century drama.
20th century drama in particular.
When you teach drama, do you make a distinction between long plays and short plays?
Yes, I do, because when I teach the long plays, particularly the 5-act or 7-act and 5-act plays, see, the focus is normally on the structure of the play. Today in postmodern times, we believe in structureless, say, texts also. But traditionally speaking, we are more interested in the development of the plot, which is normally seen in the context of a Freytag pyramid. We begin with exposition, say, rising action, climax, falling action, and denouement, a resolution. So you see, in a 5-act play, each act is devoted to one of these important stages. So in a long play, you obviously see this progressive development of the plot, which normally is linear, unless you come to, say, an absurd play where the movement is more circular than linear. So when you teach long plays, this has been the main idea. But when you come to a 1-act play, which picks on one single situation or one single event, I think our focus is more. And in one sense, one can say that to be a say writer of 1-act plays, you need a distinctive creativity.
Yes.
Because you need to have that terrific focus on creating a play with one event, and your settings don't change much. Let's say locales don't change much. Characters cannot be too many. So that way, let's say you obviously see the difference between, say, teaching a 5-act play and a 1-act play.
And when you come to drama, the most important aspect of drama, I believe, is the performance.
Yes.
How do you bring in the performance aspect of drama into the classroom?
Yeah. Now, one important thing is, let's say, we can't dispense with language.
True.
Right? Say, we normally say dramatic poetry in itself is action, say, oriented.
Yes.
In the sense that one can say that the linguistic potency of a dramatic text is that it can easily transform itself into visuals.
True.
And when you teach it as a performance, say, my experience has always been to, say, create that atmosphere in the play, right? The locale, as it is called, the place, it could be Venice, it could be Denmark, it could be Scotland, it could be any place in India. So what is most important is, let's say, when you speak about the performance aspect, I have always taken interest in dealing with the linguistic, say, possibilities of the dramatic text, and more importantly, the paralinguistic, say, features that are embedded in a dramatic text. That's why I said the words are action oriented. And when you focus on gesture and things like that, which leads us to the Indian Sanskritic tradition, we have the concept of fourfold abhinaya, where you have the angika abhinaya, where the gestures become important, the vachika abhinaya, where the spoken word becomes important, ahari abhinaya, where the costume becomes important, and satvik abhinaya, where the emotions, let's say, are related to that particular situation. See, I think it is possible to make students visualize through a force of imagination the performance that is already enshrined in a dramatic text. That's why I talked about the transition from drama to theatre. And I think, say, the drama should obviously be read as a performance.
True.
Today we have a great advantage of watching plays and film versions, say, but earlier I had wonderful teachers who could actually create that amazing, say, experience of watching the play while they really taught.
They enacted almost.
They enacted a lot. They enacted a lot. I remember Professor GK, my own teacher, who used to say sing songs from As You Like It, sing songs from Twelfth Night, and say people who could, as you said, let's say they could enact, they could take positions, right, and make students also get involved in a dramatic presentation. Let's say, however short that presentation is.
That's all right. Some kind of sense of drama.
Exactly.
They should get it.
Exactly, sir.
When you teach drama, when you involve the students like this, do students have some questions to ask you as a teacher of drama?
Yes. One important question that they ask, I normally say don't focus much on the suspense that is involved in the play because I expect them to know the story.
Okay.
Right? Because in traditional plays, you know that a legend or say either a myth or a legend or a historical account transforms itself into a play. So for me, with regard to drama, familiarity does not breed contempt.
Okay.
So story they know. Let's say after all, if it's not a short story, it's not a novel. You don't wait for things to happen. So I think that they should know the story, and then the moment let's say they know the story, the questions that they ask me is about the plot structure.
Okay.
Right? Plot itself is structuring of a story, amazingly done, and they are interested in the delineation of characters.
Okay.
They are interested to know the, say, the proclivities of characters, the motivations that make them indulge in action. And many students are interested in the background.
Okay.
The historical background. Today we need to use the word backgrounds because there are multiple histories embedded in a play production. And some students are interested in knowing the history of reception. Suppose you deal with Shakespeare, let's say they are interested, how did the 18th century look at him? How did the 19th century look at him? So on. So these are very pertinent questions that my students have asked, which has actually enhanced my understanding of drama and theatre.
I think not only the question of time, but also the question of ethnic background of readers.
Exactly.
Or ethnic background of viewers of drama.
Sir. Exactly.
Particularly when you have a Shakespearean play acted by Indian actors or by African actors or male actors played by women actors, you have a different kind of presentation on the stage.
Definitely, yes.
When students ask you questions, do you also ask students some questions?
Yes, actually, not only from the examination point of view, say for example, let's say you take a play like Twelfth Night.
Okay.
And you have an alternative title called Or What You Will.
Yes.
Now the question is, let's say, why should an author, right, after having given a title to the play, think of an alternative title?
Okay.
Now, this is an important question, right, because Twelfth Night is associated with a kind of revelry that comedy is supposed to present.
Yeah.
Now, Or What You Will is a very interesting, say, kind of practice, let's say, to give an alternative title. For example, in Goldsmith, She Stoops to Conquer is also called Mistakes of the Night.
Yes.
These are peritextual elements, as I used the term earlier.
Yeah.
Right. So I obviously would like to ask them questions about the title, not only from the examination point of view. For example, when you say Othello, the Moor of Venice.
Yeah.
Right, so Moor is an outsider in Venice, then he becomes of Venice, he belongs to Venice. And as you talked about ethnicity in perception, so I'm interested in the outsiders in Shakespeare, particularly with regard to Othello. So I'm interested in that title. Now, what do you mean of Venice? Does he share characteristics of Venice, or has he become a Venetian in spite of having a black complexion and things like that? Now, the other thing that I'm interested in is to make them study dramatis personae, which not many people try to focus on, right? The list of characters that appear in the play, either in the, say, order of succession, or let's say with regard to their importance in the play, the king will be on top, let's say the gardener will be in the bottom. So I'm interested in asking them questions with regard to the hierarchic implications of the characters put in the dramatis personae. And I'm more interested in finding out from them what they think as the emotional subtext in a play.
Okay.
Right? But apart from it, but so we go beyond language, obviously it becomes human emotion, human experiences. And also finally ask them, what do you think is the ultimate purpose of this play, which can belong to, say, your, say, culture or belong to somebody else's culture? Now, what do you think is the sole purpose of writing this play for the world, let us say? Though a playwright might write it for his own people, let's say it transcends time and space and then it reaches out to people. So, I'm interested in asking these questions to students.
Very good. Now, you have taught drama for many years, more than 3 decades. By any chance, have you developed some strategies for teaching drama on your own?
Yes. Now, one thing I have done, let's say, thanks to, say, technology, is to make student watch both the stage versions and film versions of the play.
Can you just, for the sake of our learners, tell us about the difference between stage versions and film versions?
Good, sir. Thank you for that question. Now, when you take a BBC version of a Shakespearean play, right, they are so much connected to the text, right? They don't sacrifice anything. Even if that play were to take about 3 to 4 hours of production, we normally make a distinction between plot time and performance time.
Yeah.
Say if plot time is say sometimes in say the Winter's Tale, let's say the plot time is almost 16 years.
Yeah.
Right, but you need to say compress that in a 4-hour production or a 5-hour production or 3-hour production.
Yeah.
So one thing that you see in a stage version is, let's say, that the setting is very close to, right, very close to the setting that Shakespeare must have had during that particular time. They take great pains in creating that particular thing. Whereas when you see a film version, I say that it becomes an interpretation of the play.
Okay.
That is the difference. Now, I'm not saying that say a stage version is not an interpretation, but the stage version you see a kind of a fidelity to the text.
More close to the text.
Exactly. That fidelity to the text is definitely present in a stage production. Film version obviously has a kind of a freedom. And in that context, let's say today we have a concept called auteur, let's say AUTEUR, where the director of a play becomes its author or a co-author when he or she interprets the play to suit his own, let's say, interpretative mode or his perception of that particular play. Now, that is one thing that actually I am interested in, and see, this is one thing that I have done. Let's say, for example, when you say look at Tempest, and in one of the say versions of Tempest, let's say Prospero is a woman.
Is it?
Right, is a woman. And that's a very interesting take on the Tempest, let's say. And in post-colonial productions of Tempest, let's say, Caliban becomes more important than Prospero.
That's true.
Or in a play like Henry V, let's say, we have seen that there is a Laurence Olivier production in 1944, and then there is a Kenneth Branagh version later of the same play.
Yeah.
Now, one is hugely patriotic, the other is hugely political.
Yeah.
Now, Kenneth Branagh's version is subversive. It asks questions about the Christian monarch who has been eulogized, let's say, in the tradition. Yeah. So, you see that each production is a kind of a take on the previous production. True. And it almost becomes a kind of an intercultural revision of the previous play. True. So, that is one thing that I do. Number two, let's say, I've also made students particularly in the tragedies, I've made the women characters take the central position. Right? Look at Othello from Desdemona's eyes, from Emilia's eyes, for example. Right? I'm just giving examples from Shakespeare alone. And then, for example, say what would Ophelia say about Hamlet when Hamlet is so eulogized and praised as the greatest mind, the greatest consciousness, and so on. And I have also, let's say, made students give alternative endings to the play.
Oh, that's great.
Right? To make them look at the story, because if they think that it doesn't end well or end well in their own way, let's say if they think that this could have had a different ending, which is almost a kind of a postmodern practice. No, we don't finish a play or any text with a full stop. We put 3 dots so that it could continue. So in that particular context, let's say I've always asked them for alternative endings, and say as a practice, I have asked them, let's say, to take one situation from the play or any situation from life or from a myth which has contemporary resonances, and then transform that into a play text. So by doing this, let's say, which can be definitely done within the confines of your syllabus and the allotted time of a semester. And this actually, see, these proactive things that happen in a classroom, has always enthused the students.
That is where I think the real creativity of drama is extended further for the learners.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. Yes.
Thank you. Definitely. You have taught many plays, but some plays may have been rather repeated for discussion in your classes.
Yes.
Can you tell us about 1 or 2 plays which come repeatedly in your discussions?
Yes. Now, since I mentioned, say, William Shakespeare, I always thought that the play A Midsummer Night's Dream is an excellent takeoff point to understand Shakespeare, because for me, since I'm interested in meta-drama, meta-theatre, you see that Shakespeare actually articulates his aesthetics through that play.
Okay.
What he thinks a play must be, what he thinks a play should be, right? What is an ideal play kind of thing. In one of the most famous, passages in the 5th act of the play, when Theseus speaks about drama. Now, that is my usual takeoff point, and luckily, let's say I've been teaching Hamlet for a very, very long period of time, and I taught it in MCC for a very long period of time. I'm teaching Hamlet, let's say, under Shakespeare Studies at the University of Madras. So that is another play that I have taught. Now, with regard to Indian plays, let's say I've taught Girish Karnad, right? I've taught Fire and the Rain. I like that play primarily because it's a very unique blend of, say, many elements where you have drama as ritual, which is a traditional Natya Shastra kind of concept. And then you talk about drama as a particular form dealing with realities, contemporary realities. And very interestingly, the title, the Kannada title, Agni Mattu Male. Now, Agni is a specific Sanskrit word which is associated with ritualistic fire. And Male is a word that we normally use, let's say, for Male, the Tamil word Male. Let's say, I think even in the title, I think Girish Karnad has brought, say, a kind of an interface between the tradition and his individual talent as a playwright.
Exactly.
And then, say, I'm also teaching a play called Ecstasy of Rita Joe under Canadian drama at the university, which is a very important thing for me because that makes me, say, refer to many plays written in indigenous traditions. There is a great play called Nadugadiga by K.J. Baby in Kerala, which deals with the lives of Adiyas who are the, say, the downtrodden indigenous populations in Kerala. So when you do the Ecstasy of Rita Joe, let's say, you can obviously say refer to other indigenous texts. So, and Badal Sarkar has always been one of my interests because his aesthetics, which belong to a particular thing called third theatre, makes me see how he has used, say, performance spaces themselves in order to indicate the mode of drama that he is producing.
So, a text is an intertext.
Yes, definitely, sir.
It's not exclusive.
No, not at all.
When you teach drama in the class, what are the responses from your students?
No, I've always seen that, let's say, when you teach a novel and teach a play, particularly when you teach prose and drama, right, they are definitely more involved in theatre or in a drama text. Now, the reason for that, let's say, according to me, is that a play actually provides you with, say, a multidimensional perspective of things. Now, each character can look at a particular situation in a very unique way. And to me, say, students are interested in drama primarily because it provides us with a dialectical understanding of life and reality.
True.
Where they are able to see, when you side with one particular character or side with one particular, say, group of people, then you understand that you are, say, looking at life from multiple perspectives.
Good.
And drama alone as a form can provide you with, novel does, I'm not saying novel does not do that, but drama primarily because it's interactive. Right? It constantly an ongoing dialogical process, say, between ideas and feelings and emotions. I think it is that, say, power that I think encourages students to take interest in drama than the other forms.
I think you have touched on the core point of this course, literature and life, the interactions among people and different perspectives that we can get. That's great. Thank you. As a teacher and as a human being, what have you gained from teaching of drama or literature in general?
Yeah, definitely, sir. See, there are two ways now today. We have the liberal humanist perspective of art being an ennobling kind of power. Art is associated with fine arts, let's say, which is refining, and Hegel has hierarchized art forms from, say, music on top, literature second, painting, sculpture and architecture. Now, one important thing with regard to, say, literature is the way in which language has been so powerfully used to deal with so many, say, feelings and so many experiences. And, say, for me, let us say, drama has, say, enhanced my understanding of certain socio-political, cultural issues that are germane to our own lives in almost on a daily, say, situation. Or daily basis, let us say. And I think that is what drama has done. And like I said earlier, since, say, drama is so vast, it's drama with regard to range and extent is so vast, that I come to know of diverse cultures, diverse, say, peoples and their habitats and habits and so on, that I think is definitely widens the horizons of my understanding. And for me, let's say, it has given me a capacity with my own, say, in my own limited way to embrace the whole of humanity and not obviously construct people, not indulge in value judgments, say, about people, I think that way drama and theatre, because drama and theatre for me are two sides of the same coin, has provided me with that understanding. For example, I have seen, say, plays on transgender issues, acted by transgenders themselves. So you definitely have, say, terrific understanding of their plight and predicament, and you can possibly do what you can in that particular context. Like it's mentioned, say, KJ Baby's play Nadu Gadiga, you would like to do something for the tribals or somebody for something for the indigenous populations. But generally speaking, I think, like Lawrence said with regard to the novel, the ultimate purpose is to meaningfully connect us with the circumambient universe, of which I think humanity is a very, very important part. I'm not saying, let's say, the flora and fauna are not important today. Particularly, we live in a time when eco-critical issues are foregrounded or showcased in drama. So I think the perfect understanding of the human and the non-human worlds, let's say, is possible by apprising drama in a very proper way.
I think from my understanding of whatever you said just now, I believe that watching the play in the theatre also will be very helpful to students. Do you like to encourage our students to?
Definitely, sir. Definitely, sir. Two things are possible in the concept, in the idea of live experience. Either you enact, so you can make this, say, space the acting space and make that the spectating space. Now, that is one way of doing it, let's say, where you have a live experience. But to grasp, as I told you, this amazing, say, potential of drama transforming itself into theatre, they must obviously watch stage plays, right? Particularly stage plays at this level. Film versions they can watch anyway. But that space called theatre, right? That place called theatre, which is normally divided into acting and spectating spaces, right? Though in Brecht, let's say, it's going to be different because it's a place for dialogue, it's a place for discussion. But traditionally, when you take the fourth wall theatre into consideration, you need to, say, experience, because you said once the screen goes up or screen doesn't go up, when the spotlight is on characters or on situation, I think that experience is unique. And I think any student of drama must definitely watch as many plays as possible if he or she has those opportunities.
Thank you. Now we have a very important question for the students from their perspective.
Yes.
When they study drama, as part of a course like this, they have to write some examination answers.
Yeah.
How do you want our students to respond to questions on drama?
Yes, sir. So one thing is, let's say, what I have done, let's say, in my own experience of teaching drama, is to make them first identify the important passages in the play. Now, that doesn't mean, say, only passages spoken by the hero or the heroine or the main characters. Because, for example, in a play called Richard II, a gardener speaks, right? When you look at dramatis personae, and when I talked about the hierarchic implications, he is obviously at the bottom.
Yes.
But if you keep away the gardener out of the play, then the play loses a lot of power, loses a lot of vitality. So, when I say important passages, I obviously will refer to passages associated with both the major and the minor characters. Now, that is one that I would like to, one thing that I would like to speak. And I also believe in the significant junctures in the play, right? Those important junctures that happen in the context of the play. And if they focus on that, let's say they focus on that, they will be able to understand the progression of the tale, let us say. And those junctures ultimately can also provide them with an understanding of what is happening, right? Going back to the Freytag pyramid that I spoke about, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and denouement. And more importantly, I think, let's say, they must be encouraged to acquire what is called a very relevant vocabulary to deal with the drama.
Good.
Right, because normally the vocabulary that you use in the context of poetry cannot be applied to theatre or drama. So I think I'm more interested in providing them with I would not say correct, but very relevant germane vocabulary to define or describe a play. And then at the same time, let's say, not to give up. Say, I'm also interested in radio plays. Radio plays is a very beautiful experience. I think I say our students must definitely listen to radio plays, because there, though I said drama is a multimedial narrative, radio play, though it's monomedial because only the heard aspect is there, you see that when you listen to a radio play, you, using your own power of imagination, can transform that into a multimedial experience. Now, coming back to the, examination point of view, I obviously will be, interested in making them understand the issues. right? The basic themes, let's say, in the play for which the play has been written, or I would say the basic theme. Right? The theme is a usual word that we use, but I am more interested in, say, for example, the comic vision in a comedy,
Okay.
the tragic vision in a tragedy,
Okay.
the political vision in a history play.
Okay.
Those kinds of things, let's say, will be, let's say, paramount importance to me.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Now we come to the last question for this session. How can we live our life meaningfully by reading drama or watching drama or participating in dramatic experiences? Please address this
Yes,
question.
sir, definitely, sir. It's a very important question, the most
Yeah.
vital question, let's say, not only with regard to, say, coursework of this kind, because this coursework, as you have designed it, let's say, is a great means to extend it to real life, say, practices.
Yeah.
Now, one thing is to, say, enhance our sensitivity,
Okay.
right? As I used the term earlier, drama obviously makes you understand the human world and the non-human world,
Yes.
say, very well.
Yeah.
Right, you definitely have an intense understanding, right? Say, for example, say you deal with flora and fauna. Now, see, when you read, say, a play which deals with, say, in As You Like It, you have descriptions of an amazing landscape. For example, the Forest of Arden, say, such a beautiful place and so on. That's a very idealized kind of landscape. But there are, let's say, contemporary plays which deal with, say, the human intervention, say, with the world of nature and how destruction takes place and so on. So, I think it teaches us to be very sensitive to human predicaments. And as mentioned earlier, since I believe in, say, in understanding multiple theatres of the world, let's say, I believe that drama teaches you, say, to be aware of the pitfalls of constructing people and cultures.
Uh-huh.
Because that is the best means to live in this particular world. Because I think if you construct people or you construct cultures, then you deliberately create these binary divisions between, let's say, this group and that group, and this is superior and that is inferior. I think we will suffer from a very skewed perception of reality. And drama for me is a great, because you have characters, let's say you have characters. For example, when you take Merchant of Venice, earlier, say, Shylock was a villain, while Shylock was, say, a moneylender who tortured people and so on. But today, when you look at him as a character representing a particular race,
Yeah.
and particularly after the Holocaust,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Particularly after what Hitler did to the Jews. Now, Shylock is a different character today,
Yeah.
right? He appears as a different character today. You sympathize with him, right? You don't villainize him. You sympathize with him. You look at his culture, look at his position, let's say, not only in the play, but just take him outside of the play, and then you're looking at what happened to the Jews in the context of the Second World War, or what Hitler did. I think the ultimate purpose of literature itself is to have proper perception. And I think as people who live in this world with sometimes very ordinary pedestrian modes of understanding, we suffer from a terrible crisis of perception.
That's a
And-
great expression,
Yeah,
crisis of perception.
and I think drama will be able to provide us with, say, a great opportunity to make us understand things properly. I think ultimately literature for me is perception.
Okay.
And if we have proper perceptions of things all around us, I think not only will we lead our lives meaningfully, but we will be able to impact other people's life meaningfully. And more importantly, we will do this with enormous sense of humility. And I believe in that dictum of Eliot in his Coker when he says, all is humility, endless humility.
Yeah.
And I think drama or meeting people, however imaginary they are, however fictive they are, let's say when you meet these people all over, say, the world, you have so many characters in your mind, I think it definitely makes us look at life very differently. And more importantly, as I used the term earlier, I think we will embrace humanity with a great sense of love, affection, and understanding.
I think understanding is the right word at the end of our discussion to think about literature and life with reference to drama. Thank you so much for joining us today, sparing your valuable time to speak about your experiences of reading and teaching drama. Some 30 years of experience you have shared with us in a very brief period with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
May God bless you to live your life meaningfully further.
Thank you, Dr. Dhanawel. Thanks for this amazing opportunity to get in touch with see so many people there.
Yeah.
And I thank Dr. Dhanawel for this opportunity, and I wish all of you amazing success in your academic pursuits And more importantly, because this course is related to life, I wish you a very peaceful, joyful, and prosperous life, all of you.